We are the two Jesses from the We Should Talk About That podcast. We're coming to you live from AR Workshop in Old Town Alexandria. We are in collaboration with ZTV and the Zebra Press. We are so excited to be here. As soon as we get our tech glitches figured out, please send us your questions, your comments, because you are going to love our guest tonight. You're going to love this episode.
Yes, and of course, the latest June issue of the Zebra Print came out this week, and you can find that at any of the red boxes that are around town or different restaurants. But if you don't want to have to hunt for it, you can go to Zebra's online website, and for $4 a month, the smaller than a cup of coffee, you can have it delivered to your house and keep that good news coming. So, with that said, I'm particularly excited to introduce our guest tonight because she is a dear, close, personal friend of mine. We have known each other since our firstborns, who are 14, were in baby Bjorns. And so Katie Wells, who is the owner of AR Workshop, which is located on 1212 King Street in Old Town Alexandria. Thanks for letting us crash your store. Thanks for letting us work out tech issues and joining us tonight, Katie.
Yes, well, thank you very much for having. I'm super excited to do this. 1 year ago, you ladies launched your podcast, and we actually had a whole really fun event scheduled here that was sold out, and we had to shut it down.
Yeah.
So we hope to go back there when the world opens up again.
Yes.
So I'm at least really happy that we get to do something together in this form.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So I am always, like, one of my very favorite things to do is to have conversations with women who are entrepreneurs, who are very familiar with the hustle, right? And I mean, just walking, I'd never been in here before, like, sadly, I don't get out much. And I am just overwhelmed with the aesthetic beauty, first of all, of this place. Like, well done. It's gorgeous. But I'm also just really curious. I read I think I read something on social media that you talked about how it had been 5 years since you hung up your corporate hat. And I'm so curious because I love the mind of the female entrepreneur. Like, what made you take the step of, like, sheer bravery, or I don't know, batshit crazy, like, to hang up the corporate hat and move into this?
Yeah. I love how it all started questions, and because I love telling the story, because I was there before I jumped ship, and I was soaking it in, like following people that I admired and how they made that leap, right? So I consider myself, I'm a late bloomer. I didn't know I had this in me, right?
Yes. You're in good company.
Late bloomer.
It's amazing. So I didn't find my thing until my late 30s. So ironically, my mom is a maker, seamstress, small business owner, but I don't know how to sew a lick. She never taught me the craft. Growing up, it was, my mom was a widow, and she escaped Vietnam on a boat with me and my brother.
You were born in Vietnam.
I was born in Vietnam, yes. So for her, sewing was a necessity. It wasn't a hobby and enjoyable. So for her goal for the kids were go to college, get a good paying, steady job. And so growing up, I didn't get to do anything creative that wasn't nurtured in me. So I didn't know I had any of this until I had kids. So AR is actually my second small business.
Okay.
I started out with a company called Petite Social, which was party planning for kids, but upscale. So Petite Social was like little celebrations, big style.
I want to interrupt. I was the beneficiary of so many fabulous Petite Social events because, like I said, we met when our firsts were very, very young, and that was the first kind of foray for her and really getting in touch with her creative side. Yeah. You were always stylish as heck, but your creativity just started pouring out of you.
Yeah, and I didn't know it. So it was just, I did a party for my kids and something came out of me.
Yeah.
Right. So I did that for a few years, and it was always my background is corporate recruiting and HR,
Okay.
which was very much a sales and relationship building job, which I think lends a lot to sort of where I am today. But that was more, one foot in, the safety net and then the party, which did really well. And it was at a point where I needed to go all in, and I couldn't figure out how to scale the business or do it. I just wasn't ready for it.
Okay.
So I went back to corporate world. So long story short, so AR is a boutique franchise. So it was founded by Maureen Anders and Adrienne Ruff, which is the A and the R. And I met Maureen. So I styled parties and I would come up with the concept, and Maureen did the graphic design. So we worked together, we met online, and we worked together a number of projects. And that was it. It was a business relationship. I didn't have, any, never met her in person. So fast forward, I was in my corporate job, feeling in a rut, and I came across my Facebook feed. This Maureen had hosted, she had opened up a store, and there were these women holding these custom signs, and they were drinking, and they were laughing. And so here's a little example. But I was like, what is this? Like, I could not stop looking at it. I kept looking through the feed. This was in June of 2016. So I found myself the next week, honestly, just going back to the website all the time, could not get it out of my head. And so I emailed Maureen randomly and just said, hey, don't know if you remember me. It's been a few years. Would you allow me to bring something like this to Alexandria? Little did I know that she created this with the intention of making it a franchise.
Okay.
At the time, it was not. So when I talked to her, she literally had one store open. So of course I couldn't get that out of my mind. And the next thing I had to do was I built this business case to my husband.
Oh, John.
I want to quit my really nice corporate job. I get to work 100% at home. I make a nice living, but I want to jump ship and start a new business that has zero financial history. But I feel it in me.
I love that. I love these kind of stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I crunched numbers. So yes, the one thing is, as long as it doesn't put your family on the streets, right? Like I have some business sense. It wasn't like this crazy idea.
Right.
But I also knew from my experience with Petite Social and just being in Alexandria that, it wasn't a crazy thing. I knew in my community alone how many people would love it, being in Old Town. So I just had this gut feeling, and the numbers weren't crazy. So I did my research. I talked to the business owners that had connections with. I reached out to the small business, small business development center here in Old Town, which if you are looking to, you're considering opening anything up, there's so many amazing resources here that people do not tap into.
Right.
And it is free. So they help you with business planning. They help you with financial consulting. So I did my homework, and it's available. So this was the first time where I'm like, I'm opening up a brick and mortar. I can't have one foot in. It's all in. Mm-hmm. And my thing was, okay, I found a place. It's a 3-year lease. Worst case scenario, I lose 3 years of my life. Yeah. And that was my big.
And that was 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago.
Obviously it went pretty well.
It did. I can attest to that. It did. And you were used to be in a different location. Yes. And that's one of the evolutions that has happened for you over the last 5 years. You had that 3-year lease, and then year 4 was the move.
No, I had a 3-year lease, and I moved within a year and a half within our second year because we outgrew the space. Yes. So it was a great thing. So that is one thing that I knew 100% I wanted to open in Old Town. Okay. Everybody was like, why don't you, I live off the parkway, over in Port Hunt area. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is a destination business, open in Holland Hall. The rent's cheaper there, or, open somewhere else. You don't need to be in Old Town. But I was adamant. It's like, I need to be in Old Town. I need to have, there's more things than just the workshop side, right? There's just.
It's definitely
Stay
more than
tuned.
that. Yeah. Like, oh my goodness.
We're going to
Oh
go
my
over
goodness.
there, and you are all
The
going to
retail.
be walking here
Yeah.
tomorrow
Yeah.
for sure. So you moved after a year and a half, and the new location is right on King Street. I think you call this Maker's Row, right?
Yeah. So, so I started on the second floor. I chose to be in Old Town, but I had to be in Old Town and afford it. You know, with a new business, I had to be on the second floor.
Okay.
Which, if you own a wood workshop and have to carry heavy wood up the stairs, was great, right? But then I'm above a gelato shop, so that kind of defeated the purpose. But yeah, so that allowed me to afford Old Town. But we outgrew our space very quickly, which was a good problem to have.
Was that a surprise to you that you like were so successful that you grew out of that space so quickly?
I never, honestly, I didn't open and say, this is my plan, right?
Yeah.
I do know that I put everything I do in it. So I didn't think it would fail. I didn't.
For the record, it wasn't a surprise to me. Just knowing her and knowing what kind of hustle and just the mindset that she has and just how she can find a style. She knows what's going to happen before it hits, and she's always on the leading edge of things. And so it wasn't a surprise to me when you outgrew that space.
Thank you. But no, it was a really great, position to be in, and I wasn't actively looking. And then just, I think a lot is always about opportunity and timing.
Yeah. Yep.
So I reached out to the Small Business Development Center and, hey, I'm not actively looking, but if there's something that ever, opens up, I would love to, my lease, it was a year and a half, my lease is up in 3 years, so you kind of have to start looking. And that phone call, I'm like, well, something actually just came across my desk, and it was this space.
Okay.
And so that's, long story short, also at the time, AR as a franchise, we were doing really great. I was a top performing store, and there was a lot of pressure for me to open store number 2. So
in Old Town or somewhere
anywhere else.
Okay.
Like Old Town's doing so well. Why don't you open up another AR? I think for my marriage and for my family, had I done that would not have done, like I knew I wouldn't have that support, and it would have stretched me. So
the move was well timed because it allowed you to kind of grow without the commitment of a second location. So you come here and the space is beautiful. It's right on King Street. There's so much more foot traffic that you have. And then 2020 hits. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what happened to brick and mortar stores during COVID.
Yeah. So our business is built on gathering.
Yeah.
So I look back on pictures and I see we are crammed in. We were.
What's your max occupancy here, typically?
25.
Okay.
So, so actually, it's more than that, but like to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, because the way Old Town is, we're in a space where it's 2 row houses put together, and there's a brick wall, so it's much more narrow than a lot of places.
Okay.
But yeah, like we were booming. Holidays, we were doing 2-3 parties a day, just to meet all the the requests that were coming in. So yes, pandemic hit. What is a business who's all about gathering and drinking and socializing do when you're shut down, right? So the beauty of being part of a franchise is that I have an amazing, leadership team, and they hustled, and literally what we did was picked out, kind of the smaller type projects, and we created our new concept, DIY to go. It was amazing because everybody was locked down for 3 months.
Yep.
What the hell do you do to keep your kids entertained and busy and engaged, right?
Yes.
So we were cranking. I didn't have any more, luckily all my staff at the time, I just hired to staff up and prep of everything. We had 18 on staff.
Wow.
Part-time employees, right? And they're all, they're all full-time workers during the day, and this is it's everybody's fun job. So the good thing is, who I have, they're here for the fun of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So when there were no more shifts, it was fine, for them. But I kept my assistant manager and I on, and she focused on all of the workshop DIY to go needs. And then I launched into our retail side.
Right.
And that's where this kind of, I went, we were 80% workshop, 15, 20% retail, and nothing was online, and everything went online. So I spent my time getting every single product into our system, creating our website. And so we kind of divided and conquer.
Yeah.
Wow.
I will say I enjoyed the watercolors and the small project, which why don't you show one of the small projects that you were packaging up?
Oh,
This is a coaster set, which was not available during the
No,
pandemic,
this is not,
but
yeah.
it would be something like that size, right?
yeah, so it'd be like smaller type if you want to can you grab one of those kits there? So we basically, we have hundreds of designs and projects, but then we created like a package like this. So a smaller, this way.
Yep, there
So
you
a
go.
smaller type project, instructions, paint supplies.
Oh, it even
everything.
has like sandpaper in
Yeah,
there.
Yep, 'cause you have to
sandpaper.
sand the
Yeah.
wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
everything is in here for you to do. So we started with this, and then we started doing virtuals. I hosted tons of virtual Zooms.
Interesting.
We do a lot of corporate parties.
Uh-huh.
So people used to come here and book their team building. So, everybody pivoted. Like we're making the most of our situation. We can't get together, but I want our employees to have an activity to do. So I'm going to order 25 kits, and you're going to ship it out
Right.
to all of them. We're going to dial in, and we're going to toast each other and spend an hour together. And so we did a lot of that. So that was another way that we were able to shift.
So the pivot that you did and had to do in order to survive COVID kind of helped you evolve into what AR Workshop is becoming now. We are going to look at the retail kind of as we finish the show, but I want to talk about what 5 years down the road now, how are you positioning yourself as sort of this springboard for other small businesses, because you have the space and you have the heart to help other small businesses. So how have you evolved?
So that is, so you had asked me earlier, and that was not like in the plan. So yes, in, our bread and butter is a DIY workshop where you come and make custom wood and canvas projects. So actually early on, if you rewind back, I think it was the winter of 2017, it was my first year, I decided to add, I think this is where my recruiting background comes in. I used to be responsible for looking for talent, right?
Right.
So I found a lot of local makers and talented artists that I love their stuff. So I started introducing kind of a maker. I didn't coin it or anything like that, but I started introducing. Oh shoot, my necklace just came.
Oh,
I started
live.
introducing a weekly guest workshop series.
Okay.
So I would invite in different makers, because not everybody's into wood and painting.
Yeah.
So I brought in watercolor artists, macrame,
Stenciling, I think.
We did charcuterie board. I was one of the
yes.
first to start that in the area
Yeah.
with a local person who had never, taught a class.
Our friend Sarah Rock, friend of the
Yeah,
show,
yeah,
Tablescapes.
Tablescape styling. So it's everything around entertaining, hostessing, styling. We did social media. We had
interesting.
someone that came in
Yeah.
that was a huge social media, influencer. And she was helping small businesses with how do you elevate your business with Instagram.
Right.
So everything that I was interested in, I would bring somebody in, right? Like, and that was my big thing. I wanted to diversify content because it's not just this. There's so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And that has evolved.
And it was really to support small business owners
Yeah.
who are makers, but
Yeah.
also to help strengthen small business owners who came and participated in those workshops or trainings or whatever you
Yeah.
want. And then also the community building aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
And networking, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, there's so much talent in this area,
Yes.
and everyone's connected some way, and they're very
Mhm.
supportive. I think everybody can thrive. Like there's
Yeah,
overlaps,
there's enough
but
for
There's
everybody.
enough for everybody.
There's enough to go
so
around.
I don't feel there's everybody says that like collaboration over competition. And,
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Do
Absolutely.
you think that you could have guessed that you would be this kind of, I mean, I know you don't like it when I use this word, but the springboard, that when you made the jump from the corporate world, did you have any idea on any level that you would then be springboarding other people to make their own jumps later down the road?
I think you're giving me way too much credit, but thank you.
I don't, by the
No,
way.
I am not a springboard. I don't necessarily think that bigger is better. I don't go after, oh, well, you only have 300 followers. I'm going to go after the person that has 20,000 followers,
Mhm.
right? Like for me, it's do I
Yeah.
like your stuff,
Oh,
right?
by the way, thank God for that, right?
Or else we wouldn't be here right now.
Correct.
So no, I think it's more content and like So
And that's one of the nice things about being a business owner, an entrepreneur. I mean, that's what we do. Like we have autonomy. So we talk to people that we want to talk to about
Yeah.
things that we're interested about talking
Yep.
about.
Yeah.
So you're not being micromanaged by anybody else, even though you're in connection with a franchise, but
Yeah.
you can do what you want.
yes, that is what the beauty is. Like although we are a franchise, each location is independently owned. And everybody has their own spin on it
That's
and
so awesome.
brings their own style.
Yeah.
Like my store is going to look totally different from someone in, North Dakota.
Yeah.
We are across the country. So
How many AR workshops are there now? Because you mentioned 5 years ago, they were just one store and you were one of their first franchises.
Yeah.
What is AR looking like now?
So I was the first Virginia location, the 7th in the franchise, and we're now 150.
Wow.
So I
That's
can't keep
amazing.
up. Like I stay in my lane. Like once you open,
Yeah.
you're just working to do what your
Yeah.
thing. So I don't actually pay attention too much because I can't keep up.
Yeah.
And it's just you do what it works for you in this market. So, but so no, I'm not a springboard. I just
Yes,
know
she
what
is.
I like,
She is.
and
She is.
and I think that's the recruiting and sales part
Yeah.
of me, right? So
Well,
I found good talent. There's so much good talent here.
speaking of sales, can we go see
Yeah.
what's around
Let's take a look
here?
at the retail, because I do think that is one of the lanes that you have really excelled in the franchise itself. Is, yes, it's a maker's hub, but then you also have an incredible amount of retail that you then curate from local makers and allow people to sell their wares in a store setting, which normally they wouldn't be able to get into. So show us around.
Yes.
Okay, sure. So
Jess
it's
has
not,
a pile, by the
I
way.
do. I've started a
retail
pile.
was never, it was never the plan. It was
Yeah.
always like the little part of it. But
Isn't
then
it
moving to
interesting
King
how
Street.
things just keep evolving,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I love that. It's
I'm bringing
gross.
my glass.
You should not. We need 2 hands.
Okay.
Okay.
So I know you guys. I feel like I am outgrowing my space. So we are DIY workshop, right? So a lot of things I have are crafting kits for every
Age.
interest
Yeah.
and age. So adults, and so there's adult coloring books. There's hand lettering. There's weaving. There's puzzles, kind of just activities. So that's what it really started because of pandemic. I need
Okay.
activities and games and things to keep people.
Are these all the puzzles?
This is a cross stitch,
Oh
and it
my
is the
gosh.
Golden Girls,
Right?
and it makes me so incredibly
Do you have this
happy.
one?
No, I
Okay.
am
Well, I
going
know
to
it.
buy it.
No, you're
I
not.
do
Because your
have-
birthday's coming up, so I'm buying it.
I mean, I don't cross stitch, but maybe I will because at the holidays had a Golden Girls puzzle.
I did. Yes, that
I
sold
bought for
out.
several
I'm sure it
people.
did.
Right there.
Oh, wait.
So puzzles are big. So is anything that's cocktail, beer, wine related. So we have puzzles. So these are great gifts for the men in your lives.
Mhm.
We have so puzzles are great. So this is an embroidery kit for little ones.
Little
that are
ones.
easier, right?
Oh.
This is that cross stitch was a little intense, but this little beagle.
Do you
is
feel
for
like you
your
could do
little
that
ones.
one?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Do they have one of the Golden Girls like this?
I know, and
Not
an
as
easier
is, no,
thing.
yeah. So there's just the activities for a lot of these are local makers, watercolor kit.
I mean, look at this. Everything is so just like on point. Like kick-ass cocktails inspired by iconic women. Like who would
That
not
is a really
love
good
this?
seller. So this is
like
my kitchen gourmet
Frida
pantry.
Tipple.
This is really popular. So food sells, and so apparently do cocktail.
Yes.
It's a lot of like how tos.
Yes.
Right. So
But these are such great hostess gifts.
Yep.
They're
Hostess
great
gifts.
gifts for people like DJ. I do want to ask if anybody, I feel like I need to get some consensus here. Is this an inappropriate card to give my kids' teachers on Friday for the last day of school? Yes or no? Please contribute your answer. Because I have a couple of them on, hold. So I just don't want my kids' teachers to think I'm being inappropriate, but I do feel like I can't live without this, right? I don't know. I mean, everything in here is amazing.
I know. So you also then will feature very hyper-local artists. So let's talk a little bit. I mean, I'm just going to pull this because it goes with my
Your
outfit
dress,
so
yes.
well.
Yep.
Let's talk about Erica Potholm
Yep.
and Mad Alex,
Yes.
which you have a lot of her jewelry here.
So I have a limited space. So I actually have been working with Erica since I opened, and she's really my only jewelry designer that I carry, and it does very well. So we have, if you scan that way, I have a shelf that is all Erica, and they're all handmade. So you're supporting, two women-owned businesses. I do local candles. I do local art.
Right.
This is also a good friend. I do cards. So it's local art, jewelry. I have a handful that are all Alexandria women-owned businesses, and then everything else. It's really just like I became plant obsessed over quarantine. So I have what's behind you is all
What are these?
plant books and handmade pottery.
Do you know what these are?
So these do really well for us as well. We've done plant pop-ups with local businesses.
You have
Very,
microgreens, right?
like fancy. This is just a gift. Like I also like to buy things that you normally wouldn't buy for yourself,
Yes.
but it would be a great gift.
Yes.
Right? So this is a great kind of
Oh,
acrylic.
Is that what
so-
it is?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get that.
And then
I mean, this is amazing.
so yes, entertaining. I
Christian
chain,
is
yes,
very
very
hot
hot,
this season,
and
right?
bamboo. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've gone from like I'm really into boho to preppy to clean and simple modern, and I kind of mix it all in because I don't know what I like. I don't know my style.
But it all just works so well. It's eclectic.
so
And there's something
You
for
can find-
everybody
yes,
here.
there's something
Every
literally
single
one, I think.
person.
So,
amazing.
So yes, this is something that I really love. It's really fun. I don't have to be, I get to shop for things that
But you would buy.
I would buy. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So let's come over to the kids' corner.
Yeah.
Which is a variety of things that you can pop in and buy potentially as a birthday gift. Also, when you're buying all of the things for yourself,
Yep.
maybe you feel a little guilty and you're going to grab something for your kids. But the birthday parties that can be hosted here with very kid-friendly projects,
Yep.
you can pop in and get kid-friendly gifts for other birthday parties. And then this is also a great couples night, also a great girls night out gathering, which you can, the variety of projects, it's not just wood signs, as you know. We joke, Rob is like, how many wood signs could we
Right.
possibly have in the house? But we can grow microgreens. We can plant succulents. We can learn how to make a cheese board. We can macrame. There's just literally something for everyone available here. You have built such a go-to community place, don't you think, Jess?
I think so. I mean, when are we going to have our live podcast here? I mean, because
let's put you on the spot. Let's pick a date right now. No, I'm kidding.
September's looking good.
But yes, September. I feel like it's gonna be wild come September.
Everyone's ready to get out.
Yeah, I really do. So yes, we do. And that's the one part about the maker series is that we are hosting so many different local makers to bring in their craft here. And candle pouring. We're going to be doing a jewelry thing.
Yeah.
We do kids, adults, and it's all, it's team building, it's date night, it's kids events. So yeah, like it's just a place to gather. And my biggest thing is making sure we have diverse content, right? So we're not just this, we're so much more than that. And I still get so many people like, I didn't know you were here.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a retail side to it. And this is really, this is only a year in the making. So, you've asked, like, I have no plan. I don't have a plan.
You just are open to whatever is going to unfold.
Yes,
And I mean, I feel like that is a plan.
Yeah.
That's a plan.
So, I do sleep, but I am always thinking, right? So, but I do
Because
feel an itch coming on. Like
you found your passion, though.
I do, yes. If you will work for free and you will work until late, and you still enjoy it, then yes. But I am feeling that itch. My 5 year, like I'm ready to grow. I love what I do, and it's not going away, but it's evolving like I am. But I don't know what that is yet.
We're still trying to pin that down. I do think that the makers and mingle concept is going to scratch that itch a little bit for you in a way to help other small business owners come to a place where they can kind of workshop different ideas. Because yes, there's the creative and the crafting outlet, but there is also, you had a logo making event, and you also have had a professional photographer come and take headshots of people. So there's just so many different ways for you to continue supporting other small businesses. Do you feel that you focus mostly on other women small businesses?
No, I don't. And there were several men here that evening. So yeah, I forgot we were going to touch on that. So bringing both things together, I've met so many bakers going out to do pop-ups, and nobody has a sign, right? Or they don't have a logo. And so I thought, how about creating a workshop where we can take your file that your designers created, and we could turn this file into a custom sign.
Yep.
So if you flip that way, I mean, that's my AR workshop sign, but we can basically create anything with your logo on it. And you can take that and you can put it in your studio. You can do, if you're going at a pop-up. So pop-up is there's a lot of people at like the local farmer's market, or you have professional signage. So, hey, here's an event where you can come create something that you can actually use, and then network with other local makers. And because of pandemic, restrictions, we were limited to 12 people. So
I saw the pictures. It looked super fun.
Yeah, and it made for really great. So it wasn't a speed dating networking type of event, right? We were here to mingle and make connections, and I hope there's some collaborations brewing, because there always is. Like I have some that I'm going to reach out to and want to do something with.
Right.
So that was our first, and it was super successful. The photos that were shown is local photographer. Her handle is Velo Girl 22, but Igda Warner is her name. And she happened to pop into the shop, honestly, 2 days before. And I said, she's like, I invited her to the event, and she's like, I want to photograph, work with you somehow. And I was like, well, I have this event, why don't we pop by? So that was great for her, because she also left her corporate job and she's looking to launch. And that was a great opportunity for her to meet other people as well.
So the moral of the story is leave your corporate job.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not sure that that's the moral of the story.
As long as it doesn't put you on the street.
That's right. Katie, let's talk a little bit about how people can find you, find out upcoming workshops, how they can come by all of the things.
Yes. So handle is at AR Workshop Alexandria. Website. arworkshop.com /Alexandria.
1212 King Street.
1212 King Street. We're on Upper King, closer to the metro. It's a lot more open up here, so parking is not as crazy as you think.
Agreed. Also,
So-
most of the spots are 3-hour spots, which is
3-hour
lovely.
spots. So it makes for we're near Augie's, and there's a whole bunch of restaurants in the next row. So a lot of people come here for their event, a crafting session, and then they go have lunch or have dinner. So it makes for a fun date night, or just an excuse to come to Old Town and do something.
Right, and to completely shamelessly plug the wildly popular Alexandria Curbside Facebook page that created, one of the little known gelato places is just around the corner from your store, Cafe Rosada, which is Argentinian gelato, and I found it on Alexandria Curbside, by the way.
Nice work.
I know, right?
There's lots of good stuff.
There's
in here.
lots of good stuff down
So
here.
do we have any questions or comments? No? We answered them. Okay, we are that good.
We are that
All
good.
right.
We are that
We are
good.
Okay, so we are going to sign off here because people are trying to come into the store.
I know. I
right
think people are
now,
watching and immediately coming to buy cocktail
It
kits.
feels like we're like on USA Today or something, or like what Good Morning
Today
America.
Show.
Yeah, thank you, that one.
Yeah.
And I'm just like over here. I need to go pick out teacher gifts. So on that note,
Thank you so much, Katie, for allowing us to crash in. Jess, thank you so much, as always, for
So happy
being
to be
the
here.
partner that I could only dream of. Please check us out on We Should Talk About That, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And thank you to ZTV for giving us this platform and giving us their expertise. Lainey and Grace and Susan behind the scenes are always making sure things run as smoothly as possible. So have a wonderful night, and please always remember to be the good news in someone's life.
thanks, Katie.
Thanks.